let's stay with the show in terms of how you set up the show and what your mindset is when it comes to touring and doing shows, right? Because you pretty much have a pay what you want strategy for everything that you do. You know, let's talk about the show, how you set it up, and how you see touring moving forward, and how you plan to set it. You know, how you plan to do that for yourself.
So, we'll do Fonda in particular, just so we could do it. So, being that we now do, these ones aren't pay what you want, they're offer based. So we started with Proud to pay what you want on the early shows, and you can pay whatever at the door and come in. Okay. Now we do offer based. So we're able to control ticketing. I'm able to accept or deny what someone pays to get into a show, right?
Okay.
And what we do now, being that we utilize that system, of course, a lot of these venues don't want to take the risk. So like shout out Dom for Golden Voice, because he's a great friend of mine and he's able to like be like, no, we have to do this, right? But we started to find out a lot of these venues have ticketing contracts, right? So they have to go through their vendor or they can't do the show unless you buy it outright. So we have to pay for all these out of pocket. They're not profit split deals, none of that, because it's unsure what amount we'll make. So for the Fonda, I don't know if I could even say the rate because they probably charge different people, but I had to pay out of pocket. But being that I pay out of pocket, I get to keep all the profit that comes in. So whether win or lose, it's like we win that. So we start doing an offer base, and we end up selling 1,200 tickets for this one. We sold it out in like a week, and I think total profit, just tickets, we did like $39,000, not counting merch. And I think average ticket price ended up being like 30 plus something dollars. And it's really showed us like the difference in trusting the people. Like a lot of artists my size, when you go out and tour, you usually have to set your ticket price between like $15 to $20. I've had shows where my average ticket price was $75 to $100. You know, it just depends on the experience we're building. But going forward, I just plan to keep doing it this way. We know we got to spend our own money and rent out these venues, so it's higher risk. You know, I just did a show in OKC and I lost money. I had to rent the venue. We brought out like 260 people, but each market has also showed me the difference in what they're willing to spend. You know, like some markets, they're not spending $30 for a ticket because no one ever comes there. They don't know what they should spend for a show because no one will come to these cities, right? And we're starting to hit cities that's untouched and just testing the method. And it's been beautiful as fuck because when you give people the power to choose what they could pay, usually you sell out, right? You may not make as much, but I'm packing out these places and I know next time I come back, I'll make double, right? Someone may have paid $2 this time, but when they come back, they're like, I got all of that for $2. I'm gonna pay 20, 30, you know? So it's been a really dope method to just trial and test, right?
No, I think it makes a lot of sense because, I mean, for people that know economics, like you're capturing more people under the demand curve because like, you have a lot of fans that are willing to pay more and can pay more, right? And they don't have a problem with it because they're probably in a good financial situation. So if it was just a $20 ticket, they would have came, but they would want to bless you because you've added a lot of positivity, you know, through social media. You've really went deep with your fan base because it's hard. It's difficult to get people to come to a show. It's very like, you know, think about it.
Ticket sales don't match the streams.
Yeah, no. But I mean, I think you've spent a lot of time like really connecting with people. So your community is different.
Yeah.
Right. And you remind us all the time, it's different.
Come on.
It is because you're going much deeper. You have a lot of content. You're telling your story in a very authentic way. You're really allowing people to get to know like who you are and what you represent. At the end of the day, they just like you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With other people that may be focusing on streams, if the focus is on just trying to get your streams up, then you may not be going deep. You may not, they may not know like who you are.
Man, and I've noticed that people just fuck with me because I'm able. So we did a pop-up show in LA prior to the Fonda show because it sold out. So I was like, let me do a pop-up. Brought out like 160 people in 3 hours, right? And for that show, I probably only performed like 10 songs. But it was an hour and a half set because like I allowed the crowd to do Q&A, pass the mic around, let people ask questions. And that really showed me like, man, people just here. They don't even care if I'm rapping or not. It's like, no, you here. I know I'm in a good space, right? And it's dope because one dude took the mic and he said, man, I paid $2 to get into this show. I'm going through a hard time right now. My car's in the shop. I rode a scooter here. And it was such a beautiful moment of just everyone in the crowd got to see the impact of what they do. All those people who overpaid, who pays 50, 60, 70, got to see the impact of them overpaying because now I can accept a $2 offer and it's not going to put me in a hole because it's like, bro, you took care of me. They took care of it so we can all enjoy this experience. And that show really showed me a lot because the questions people was asking and the moments they shared was just like, this shit's so much bigger than rap. So much bigger than music, you know, all of that shit is so much bigger.
And these are going to be fans for a lifetime. Like that experience, like he will never not be a fan.
Right.
Unless you start doing some crazy stuff. You know,
and even then,
so
even then he may still, right? That's
but that's the beauty. You know, I think a lot of artists don't understand or don't think about it the long term that way. You know, they're looking like what's right in front of them, what they can get now, not really understanding the lifetime value of a fan or a customer. And I think these experiences that you're creating, like you're going to be able to tour for as long as you want to because of the connection that you have with these people.
Right. Man, and the type of fan alters the data, which I had to learn. Right. I used to look at people who'd have, you know, say 250,000 monthly listeners. But if they got it off playlists, they may be averaging off those monthly listeners, they'll average like 3 listens per listener. I'll look at mine where I got 250, but they're listening 10 times. And I had to realize like, oh, wow, this number may be bigger, but it's not the same type of person. Like those people are listening passively versus mines are listening every day. So I'm still getting the same amount and equating. But in the beginning, I didn't understand. Like I had to really learn how to utilize data, even routing a show for a tour. Man, the first time I did that shit trying to use the data, I went to fucking LA and I thought 1,000 people was showing up on the first show. I said, no, look at the monthly listeners. It's like, no, that's not how that shit works.
Everybody's community is different. You have to really learn because, you know, sometimes there might be, you know, let's just say somebody has 1 million followers or whatever. You know, we've seen time and time again that doesn't translate to sales or streams. You know, some people might be following for the fuckery. Some people might be following to see when you're going to mess up. Like everybody's community is different. So you can't really just take like industry averages, industry norms and apply it to what you're doing and say, but I think again, the community piece of what you're doing is what you're doing the best, like in terms of growing your community, understanding your community, and providing experiences that enhance and allow your community to connect and engage with each other. I think it was nothing but positivity in that room.
Man.
We were actually, I was recording the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast this morning, and we were talking about a moment where, like, I think Steve Lacy had a phone thrown at him when he was performing.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, I was like, I don't think that would happen at a LaRussell concert. Like, just because of the experience and the energy that's in the room, like, not that you don't need, I'm sure you have security just in case, but like, I don't foresee anything like that ever happening at a LaRussell show.
And what's so beautiful is like when we go to venues, because, you know, some venues are like, oh, it's a rap show, we need to hire this much. And I always tell them like, nah, that's not our show.
Right.
Like, I understand, but those are extra precautions that I'm not paying for because that's not what happens at my show. I invite people into my home. I know what happens at my shows, right? And that's just not the energy that's cultivated. We've had a few moments where, like, people was a little bit drunk and got a little excessive on route, but that was nothing. But I'm always the first to communicate there. I'm going to talk to you, right? It's my show, and I make sure people understand. Don't leave people in their space, and we're going to communicate it. And yeah, man, we never had to, like, I go into the crowd, you know, and we don't never have no issues. Not to say that we never will, but it's like, it's such a different energy cultivated, and you never want to be that one nigga at a LaRussell show because everybody everybody here loves me, right?
That's what I said on the podcast. I said if anything did go down, I think the community would take care of it.
Oh man,
like it wouldn't.
Right, it wouldn't get far.
by